Let's go.
As we head into the final hour of the show on a Monday, it's time to talk football with former college coach Malik Hall, amongst other places, UMass, Penn, and Bates. How you doing, Malik? Thanks for joining us. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to the Mannix boys. How we doing, guys?
We're doing well. We're doing well. And it's always a good time to talk football here with you. And first question I got to ask, man, what the heck went wrong with your maize and blue? I definitely got that take wrong.
I got to tell you, listen, we were all hoping that we could see something different than an SEC championship game or a SEC conference game. I mean, at the end of the day, Michigan had to play a great game. They were coming off the heels of beating Ohio State, winning the Big Ten. But Georgia's coming off the heels of getting mollywopped by Bama. And so, all things being equal, that defense dominated Michigan up front. Whenever you have a 6'8", 340-pound defensive tackle able to run the corner, beat your running back to the corner, I think you're in for a long day.
Yeah, you're not kidding. And on the other side of the spectrum, too, Alabama-Cincinnati, it was a long day for Cincinnati. One of our callers pointed out to the fact that it was hard for Desmond Ridder to kind of get things going and get himself in comfortable enough because Alabama, well, they were just being Alabama and getting in his face.
Yeah, listen, the caller off, he hit it on the nose. Look, they could not drop back pass. That would not have been any different, I think, if it was Georgia either or if it was Michigan, considering those defensive lines, I think, are far more dominant than the Cincinnati offensive line. However, I thought Cincinnati did everything that they could do defensively, but they made Alabama drive the field in the third quarter when it just got the fatigue hit their defense. You losing, and it just unraveled. The wheels fall off. But look, Alabama, what I did know, and which is probably why Vegas has Georgia as the favorite, Alabama played a nickel defense or a dime defense the entire game. And for the most part, had defensive backs at linebackers at defensive end. Look, that whole dynamic of athlete gave Cincinnati all they could handle. And Cincinnati couldn't necessarily just big boy Alabama in those packages. And so that's just another hats off to Saban and their defensive staff of how to approach the game with so many guys out because of COVID. Moving forward, I don't know that they'll have that same luxury with Georgia. Georgia will have to big boy Alabama to pull this off. The quarterback is just okay, but that defense is better than okay. It is great. But if their offense cannot move that ball and not rely on a Georgia turnover, because I don't think Alabama necessarily, be careless with the ball, their offense is going to have to generate explosion, have to make some type of big play against Alabama. And though they had a great performance against Michigan, let's not get this confused. They're not going against Michigan Monday.
Yeah, exactly. They're going against the team that they can't seem to beat. But maybe this time's the charm. I'm interested from the coaching perspective here. Do you learn something from losing a late season game like that if you're Georgia? And can you apply those lessons and maybe beat them a second time around with everything on the line?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, this is not a unfamiliar opponent. That's the beauty about bowl games, is you watch teams that may never match up until the holiday season, which is awesome. We saw a few upsets. There is no surprises with the Alabama-Georgia prequel, if you will, or this will be meet number 3, right? So, in my mind, I think they have to go in thinking, look, we cannot turn the ball over. They have to be able to make something happen in their play-action game. They're going to run the ball. But the kicker is their quarterback better than the Alabama secondary? And right now I'm going to say no. And if you got to go, if he has to go the long haul, if you will, 12, 14 plays to score, I don't think he can do that because I just don't think he has that type of sauce, that type of juice. But that defense could potentially get some scores. But again, it requires Alabama to do something careless with the football. And if we don't know anything about Nick Saban, that's one thing that he's not going to do. And when you look at the Alabama tailback, that tailback knows he's going to get every carry he's wanted for 4 years. You alluded to it earlier, Tay. The Cincinnati tailback was an Alabama tailback. The Alabama tailback right now had to sit for 4 years and a red shirt just to be able to play 1 year. He's going to get every carry he can handle, and he's excited about it. So I don't see this going any different for Georgia unless this quarterback comes out of his skin, and I just don't see that. Even watching him and watching the Georgia team dominate Michigan, he didn't show me anything that made me feel like he had something to give to Alabama.
Well, and I want to switch things up, talking a little bit about the NFL as well, especially with yesterday, the Patriots, an absolutely dominating performance, putting up 50 points on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Whether or not we want to write home about that, it still remains to be seen. But I think no matter what, Mac Jones looked good in the win, and everybody looked good. All facets of the game clicked. I mean, you talk about defense, offense, and special teams, it all worked. What did you see in that game yesterday, and do you think if you're the Patriots heading into a game against Miami, you have all the confidence right now?
Absolutely. And with Miami being wounded, everyone expected this game to have a little more implications than what it may have. Yet and still, the Patriots put a game plan together. Listen, Mac Sauce, if he throws it more than 25 to 30 times a game, they are going to be on their heels. But in this particular instance, look, he threw it 30 times. They ran it, I think, 28 times. They want to be a 50-50 ball club, but the meaningful throws that he has out there, they're not going to hurt him. You know, he threw for, I think, 250 almost, and threw to 8 different receivers. That's just to show you his potential with a bad team. Of course, they're playing the Jags. Look, that was not who they're going to be playing in the first round. But you could see Mac Sauce's potential. He spread the ball all over the field. You know, you can criticize him for checkdowns, but checkdowns got him to where he knows who to throw it to, where to throw it to him, and how to put it in the receiver's hands so they can catch it. Lastly, that run game. I don't know what's going on with Harris. If they could ever go into a game with both backs like they did a whole playoff run, I think they're going to be a dynamic duo. But look, that's as good as you can get from the Pats, 50 points. I'll take it. I think every Pat fan would take it. What that means for the playoffs, nothing.
Yeah, no doubt. And yeah, fun to see both Stevenson and Harris run for a couple touchdowns yesterday. Just, shows what you're talking about there, how good they can be with both backs out there. I'm interested in your take on how things went in the AFC yesterday. We saw Kansas City knocked off by Cincinnati, who now wins the AFC North because of that. Tennessee now vaults up to number 1 ahead of Kansas City. Buffalo had to gut one out. And, all sorts of fun results yesterday.
Jeff, you caught that.
I did call Cincy. I sure did. You
called that last week. Listen, Burrow has a rocket for an arm. He has all the confidence you want, and it's confidence not to where it's arrogance. I think that's where everyone loves him. I love him. I love watching him. And you got a receiver that's as dynamic on the outside as one. I can't think of his name off the top right now, but holy moly donuts, that looked good. But here's what I can tell you: they did not run the ball, and in the playoffs, that's where it's gonna come down to: can you run this pigskin? And right now, the Titans can run it. They can throw the ball. They are the package. They are the package team. They are, look, Vrabel took the New England Patriots and carved it up in Tennessee. And that's what we're watching with Tennessee right now, if you ask me. But kudos to the Bengals. They need to bring the Ickey Shuffle back.
That's really throwing it back there. I love that, Malik.
Yeah, well, and I was going to say, how do you feel after watching Burrow? Are you confident right now? Because we had a text to say, because I thought that that Cincinnati wasn't a top 4 team. I'm still questioning if they are. But do you think that this team is going to be consistent enough to win a playoff game once they get there in that first round, depending on the matchups? Obviously some things remain to be seen, but if everything settles right now, they're playing the Indianapolis Colts 6 versus the 3. They're at home for that. I think that's winnable. But when you talk about getting to the next round, can you see Burrow almost, I guess you could say, pulling back some deja vu and being able to beat the Chiefs again if he sees them again?
I don't see them being able to double back on that one. I do think Burrow is a dude. I think he is, but I think if they can get past the Colts, which I think will still be a challenge because of the Colts' run game. The thing in the playoffs is if you can run the ball, you can manage how many times that offense has the opportunity to score, right? And so for me, that's the missing puzzle for the Bengals, is to be able to run the ball even if they're up. It helps when you're playing the Chiefs, who have no interest in running the ball. So, hey, we can just have a shootout. But I don't think it'll be that easy against the Colts, and they have a really good run game. We talked about it in the past. Listen, they're asking – I don't think he's the MVP, but he has the stats to support it, and that will keep Burrow from being able to throw it all over the lot in itself against the Colts.
Interesting. Looking at the NFC side yesterday, Green Bay has locked up the number 1 seed, so it's going through Lambeau again. I'm interested in your take on the Dallas loss to Arizona as well, who had been reeling going into that game, but now 9-0 for Kyler Murray in Jerry World.
So, Tay, I will say, look, I'm going to say it on the record. Yep, you got it, okay?
I'm just right this week. We'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks, but I'll take it for this week, right?
No question. Listen, I don't know what's going on with the Cowboys. I believe they have the team that can go to Lambeau and pull it off. And watching the debacle of the Bucs yesterday, who knows, man? It's a wide-open league, but I will say this. If it has to go to Lambeau, what else can you ask for if you're a Packers fan? What else can you ask for if you're a Rodgers fan? And, hey, the discount double-check fans probably insurance went down because of it. You know what I mean? So, ultimately, the Cowboys, that was a bad performance on every level in Green Bay. To be honest, I don't see a team right now that can beat Green Bay after looking at it. If you evaluate the NFL week in, week out, I love the Cardinals, but I still don't think they can get that done. The Rams, listen, I still am not a believer. Natty over there, and the Bucs, who I still think with Tom Brady, as you can see, you give him the ball at any point last, is like lights out. He's still a surgeon. So in my head, but with all of the noise that the Bucs are dealing with, okay, the Cowboys are constantly underachieving big time. Hey, EAGLES may have a shot.
Yeah, right. Well, if we get anybody other than the Los Angeles Rams, I'd be a lot more confident in that. But unfortunately, I think they're going to be bringing it, especially if they get the Eagles in that wild card game, a lot to prove. But a team I think that still has a lot to prove in the eyes of people in the AFC is Tennessee Titans, despite the 11-5 record. What do you think about them? Do you think they're a true number 1 seed in the AFC?
I do. I think that's the team to beat right now. I think that's the team to beat. When you think about what they want to do and they constantly are able to do it amongst injuries, they haven't had their receivers in 4 weeks. And let's be honest, they could have beat the Pats when they were out here. It just ball didn't bounce their way. But all in all, they have the most consistent set of game. They have the most consistent game plan, and how they use their game plan and roster, that's not going to change. And they found a way to get the Foreman cat to not look too much different. Listen, he's not Henry. He's not King Henry, but that offense is still moving. And so for me, and their defense is in the top of the league. So they are the team to beat. I think there's a few teams out there that have the cheat code for them. The Chiefs will push them offensively and defensively. And, the Pats and the Bills, listen, but it's still, I think Tennessee is the team to beat, though.
And I can't let you get away without asking Coach Malik a question. Seeing what happened yesterday with Antonio Brown, when you're a coach in that situation, and I'm sure you've had to deal with players being distractions on the sidelines, maybe not like Antonio Brown yesterday, but when something like that happens on your sideline and you're the head coach, how do you refocus the team, and what do you do when that occurs?
It's tough, and it happens. First, the NFL and all competitive sports and athletics is intense. And so as a head coach, to give Antonio Brown any energy, that's taking all of the energy away from the team to put on Antonio Brown. The next day later, look, that's noise that he still has to coach through, but the day of, he has removed himself from our team, so I no longer can deal with him as a team member. And I think Coach Arians handled it perfectly in the press conference. Hey, he's no longer on the team. Next question. Now, in the locker room, I think the locker room is probably a lot easier because the locker room is not built. It's built on real personal moments with each other. And so you can have close family members who cry for help out loud, but you in the house or at Sunday dinner or at New Year's dinner, like you wrap your arm around them. Hey, listen, you can't stay over here anymore, but we still love you. And I think that's what you heard from Tom Brady. The NFL is a tough game, whether it was because of his incentives, whether it was because of whatever. He didn't play or he was injured. What I really do understand is that there is no easy answer when you're in the heat of battle and a player loses his lid. The only thing you can do is still focus on the squad and the team, and I think Bruce Arians did a great job at that. And more importantly, Tom Brady did a great job at it. Tom Brady, who put his neck on the line for him at New England and then doubled down for him at Tampa, didn't throw him under the bus one time. He still continued to love him, and I think that's a tribute to the head coach and the leader of that squad.
Well said. Thanks so much for that perspective, Malik, and we appreciate you joining us again this week. Next week, it'll be time for the College National Championship, so we get to talk about that with you a week from today.
Hey, listen, we all hope it'll be different one day and they expand the playoffs. But until then, I hate to say it, but roll Tide.
Right. Thanks so much, Malik. Have a good week.
Take care, boys. Happy New Year.
All right. Happy New Year to you, too. Again, that's former college football coach Malik Hall. Talking football with Malik. We'll be right back. It's Middays with Mannix and Mannix.